welcome back to the channel. And this evening you're going to find me, I'm going to do a French style chicken dish with chicken and apples with the cream sauces. It's a pork Normandi. Comes from the French region Normandy, which is very big in France with apples and cider production and Calvados, all the byproducts obviously from apples. And this is one of a typical recipe from that region, of which I'll take a little bit of poetic license, but it's in the style and so forth of the of that particular region. Basically, I'm going to use chicken thighs, chicken legs, basically boneless, because I feel they've got the most flavour and they don't dry out as much, and they're a bit more juicy when they're cooked. So I'm going to be using boneless chicken legs for this particular dish, and I'm going to show you how to put it together. It's fairly simple dish to put together, and I'll run through it with you step by step, and we'll see how we go. Task we're going to do is we're going to season up the chicken, and then we're going to pan fry it off and give it some colour. So I'm a little bit of paprika just to give it some colour and flavour. Got a touch of chicken seasoning here I'll use from my local supermarket brand. That'll work. So give that a little quick toss. I dice the chicken up into big, fairly large sized chunks, and I'm going to be cooking it in my favourite, at the moment leftover, I think from my friend brought around, I've got some duck fat. So I'm going to seal this off with some colour and take it out of the pan, and then we'll follow that on with some celery and onions, which I'm going to fry down and colour up just so it's just starting to go slightly golden. And then I'm going to add in some bacon, lardons here, which I used about 4 rashers of bacon with the fat still on it, chopped up into the dice. And to that I've got some fresh thyme leaves and some fresh garlic. And I'm going to be using some sweet cider in the sauce. I mean, you can use apple juice. I believe it shouldn't really make that much difference to the dish, because if you some people don't like to put alcohol in items, but I mean the alcohol strength for cider is pretty low, and by the time you've heated it up and boiled it and cooked it out and boiled it out, the alcohol would have evaporated anyway, and you're just going to get the intense appley flavour. So there we go. Start off with touch of salt. I'm going to be peeling up some apples in a while. I'm going to pan fry those off, and we'll use that as a garnish to go through it. And there we go. Starting to colour up. Like so. I do it in batches. Like that. There we go. Similar to the lamb dish we did earlier in the week. Like I said, we're just going to colour up the meat and seal it off. Because you're going to finish cooking it in the oven and braise it with all the other ingredients together. And about an hour and a quarter into it, the product should be pretty much, the chicken should be cooked. You take it out, we'll drain out the meat and so forth, and we'll just put back the sauce and reduce the sauce back down, and then add the garnish back into it, thickened. And that will be your basic pork normand. There we go. And there we have the chicken done up, like so. I'm going to keep my. Now the chicken's done. We have the chicken all nicely browned off, and it's golden brown. Still raw in the middle, but it's got some nice colour on it, and that'll give us some great flavour. Next we're going to add our bacon to the same frying pan, and we're going to seal off the lardons, the bacony bits. I've used diced chicken in this recipe. You can use a whole chicken as far as cutting it for saute, or get your butcher to do it. Basically, you take a whole chicken, you take off the carcass predominantly, and then you split the thighs and the drumsticks, and then you can cut the breast into between 2 and 3 pieces, depending how generous you want to be. And these can be basically seal it off in the same way. Season the chicken, seal it off, brown it off, get it some good colour on it, take it off, and then set it aside. And then you follow the same process. So we're sealing off our bacony bits. I get some colour on this ideally, so it'll give it a bit more flavour when you put it in the sauce. Now, I was doing my. Everybody's excited for this weekend's playoffs, especially all our friends in the States and our friends in who are in the NFL. I did my predictions for on the NFL channel today for the playoffs. I mean, I had to go and back my boy, had to go and back Patrick Mahomes, because he watches the channel and has seen it a number of times and passed comments on some of the stuff we've done. So I'm sort of rooting for Patrick for in the playoffs. Of course, again, we've got also another follower of the channel, Tom Brady, the GOAT. He watches the channel on occasions and has watched it. He watched, I think, before the last year's Super Bowl, the week leading up to it and so forth. But during the press junket, he sort of spoke to Susie about that. And I think he was a bit more relaxed after the Super Bowl, but who wouldn't be after the pressure was off. So I'm hoping that we have a great weekend of football, and my boy Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs can pull off getting through the wild card weekend and get along to the conference finals next weekend. So bacon's coming along. I'm going to add in my onions. I'm going to put some celery in there just to give it a bit more flavour. So what we're going to do, we're going to sweat this down without any colour really, just a little bit, sort of try and dry it out and crispen it up a little bit. If I can get some colour on it, all good. But like I said to you before, my stove is not the fastest stove on the planet. Hint, hint, Mealy. If you're watching, still keeping an eye on the channel, if you could sponsor us, that'd be really great. I could do with a really good, better stove top than this, so I can cook a bit faster. But that's basically my base for my chicken base here. I'm going to sweat that down. I'm going to add in my thyme and garlic. I'm going to sweat that down a bit and let it cook it out, soften the onions up. And I'm going to then put it all back together again, and we'll get it in the oven. So that's the stage we're at next. We've got chicken and that's cooking down. I'll come back to you shortly and we'll show you how we're getting on with the next stage. Welcome back, guys. And we're back to put the rest of the final touches before we put it in the oven. And see, I've sweated off the bacon and the onions and celery. The onions are now slightly translucent, so they've softened up greatly, and they've reduced down some of the liquid and so forth in it. So the next step is we're going to go and put this into the oven. So transferring this over into a casserole dish, and I'm going to get that in the oven into a hot pan, like that. As you can see, while I was all away, got my apples done. So I'm going to put my chicken into there now. So, with my bacon and my garnish all in with that. So, like that. And the next thing is add in my cider. I'm using a sweet cider. You can use dry. I mean, when I worked in France, down in Saint-Laurent-sur-Sèvre. We used to have a local cider made locally, and that was sweet. And I'm basically going to use that, like a sweet cider dish and so forth. Basically going to cook the cook the chicken in the cider, in the apple. I mean, you can use apple juice, like I said, so and that should work fine. So we're going to braid that, and now I'm going to put a little bit of stock cube seasoning in it, just a little bit of a booster. I've been using this Polish brand at the moment, as it came in from my local Turkish shop, and it seems to work fine. It's quite punchy and flavour wise. So what you're going to do is you're going to braise now this chicken in about 170 degrees. I'm going to bring this up to temperature, put a lid on it, pop it in the oven to cook, and like I said, 170. It's going to take about, I'd probably say it's going to take at 170. 170 is going to take about an hour, maybe a touch more. And then once that's come out of the oven, we will go on to the next stage, whereby we will make the apple garnish. Or I can show you that now, how to cut the apples and so forth, while we're waiting for that to come up to temperature. So that's what we look like at the moment. As you can see, chicken's just going in, it's just about to come up to boil. These are my apples. These are Granny Smiths. I had 3, which is plenty really. I've peeled them, I've taken out the core and the pips. So what I've taken, I've cut the apples into 6s, taken the skin off the outside, and then left with a core centerpiece like that. And then what I'm going to do with that is, if I can show you, if I can get my camera angles quite right, here's like that. All you got to do, basically take your knife, you run it just around the back of the core, and that's the bit you don't want. And then you want to don't have them too skinny, else they'll just dissolve. Cut them into chunky, about 3 pieces like that. And these are the ones we're going to pan fry up with a touch of sugar and lemon juice to colour them off and make them brown. And that will be your garnish to go with your chicken once it's finished. As you can see, this is just coming up to temperature now. I'm going to taste the seasoning just to check. Okay. That should be fine. So that's going to come to boil. I'm going to put it in the oven for about an hour and 10 minutes. Come back shortly, and I'll go for the next stage, and we'll do the apples, and we'll do the sauce, and we'll do the finishing rendering. So see you in a bit. Right guys, this has been in the oven now for about just over an hour. I would say to you, probably using dice, I'd probably trim it back a little bit. I'll just make it about 45-50 minutes, because you don't really want to overcook it too much. And what you get with the end here, you get this is with the chicken drained out. I've taken it out using a slotted spoon. You could put it in a colander if you want, but I use a slotted spoon. Taking the meat out with the garnish, and I'm left with a stock with the cooking liquor and everything from the cider. So now this has got a good flavour, but I'm going to reduce it down a touch, just to punch up the flavour a lot and make it intense. And this is your base now for your sauce, of which you're going to reduce this down by probably about half, and then you're going to add cream into it. You can use a non-dairy cream or a vegetable-based cream as well if you want to use non-dairy. But I'm going to use what I had in the cupboard. I think I've got some sour cream here. That will probably work just as fine for me as well. Or I might even put in some vegetable cream as well. We'll see how we go. But this is going to reduce this down by half. Then you add your cream into it, bring it back up to temperature, reduce it. It should thicken up itself. We'll see how it goes with my cream. And then with the temperature corrected, then you correct the seasoning. We're going to put a little bit of Dijon mustard in there, to give it a bit more flavour. Check the seasoning, and then we will return the chicken to the sauce, bring it back to temperature, and that's pretty much ready to serve. Put the garnish with it, and you're ready to serve your family. Come back in a second while this reduces down, and we'll see how we're getting on with this. Now, my stock's gone and reduced down a touch. I've added my cream. and I put in my 2 teaspoonfuls of mustard. So what you want to do is bring it back to temperature, bring it to sort of a simmer, and basically you're looking for it to coat the back of the spoon like that. That's as thick as you really want it to go. And that is your sauce. I'm going to add a touch of pepper to the mix. He says, looking for his pepper mill, which seems to, oh, there it is. There we go, touch of pepper, ground pepper into the mix. Quick stir, like so. And now I'm going to drop that back in, casserole back in, which is beautifully cooked already and ready to serve, into the mix. I'm going to lightly stir it in because I don't really want to break it up. And that what you've got there is your beautiful chicken normande. And I'm going to add in my caramelized apples to the dish now, just to say, just about now it's ready to serve. And a little bit of garnish on the plate, I suppose. There's some chopped parsley or some micro herbs. And that is your chicken normande. You can serve it with a mashed potatoes, maybe. A nice cream potato would go, soak up some of the nice sauces, and some nice green vegetables and so forth. But that is a classic style chicken normande. Like I said, you can use a chicken on the bone and cut it for saute. I would do, if I'm going to do that, I would say I would probably trim down the amount of time I put the dice in. I'll give it probably just 45 minutes, then take it out of the oven and then drain it off into a dish, and then make your stock and sauce based reduction from that and add it back in. As you can see, this is now ready to go and ready to serve. That is my chicken normande. And all I can say is thank you for watching. Thanks for coming to the channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Tell me what you'd like to see on the channel, and we look forward to you coming back soon. I think we've got, I'm going to do some mushroom soup this week, and I've still got to go and do the vegetable cuts and dices for you, give you some cutting techniques and so forth for that later in the week. Thanks once again for viewing the channel. Hit the like button. Like I say, it's free. You can join the many celebrities who are already members of our thing. We're from Anthony Farah TPG and all Simon and the Journey guys, the Nickelback guys, everybody else who is following our channel. We look forward to seeing you again soon. You have a good day, and goodbye.